I'm the most annoying guy on set because I'm saying, excuse me, you do realize that this should be happening and they wouldn't do that, and you haven't read this, that means this would be impossible. And everyone's just going, Henry, just shut up and do the thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do the thing because he wouldn't do it this way, and he can do this.
Were you familiar with this, the Watcher before you, The Witcher?
The Witcher,
before you started?
I hadn't seen the TV show, and I hadn't read the book.
And that's where you start to get more uncomfortable, and you're thinking, there's not a performance here.
The Witcher 4 trailer just dropped. And let's be honest, it's not the reaction Netflix was hoping for. Within minutes of going live, the comment section was flooded. Fans calling it soulless, awkward, and even a parody of its own legacy. The dislike ratio? Let's just say it's not looking good. And right in the middle of this storm, a brand new piece of leaked footage hits the internet. A shaky behind-the-scenes clip allegedly showing Liam Hemsworth arguing with the director of The Witcher Season 4. No context, no official statement, just pure chaos spreading like wildfire. But the real shocker? Henry Cavill, the man who defined Geralt for an entire generation, just reacted publicly for the first time since leaving the show. And what he said has fans convinced he's throwing some serious shade at Netflix.
And you have a sense that you're going, is this really necessary?
People are calling it the beginning of the end, and it's wild to think this all started with a casting change that no one wanted. Pause. Because whether you love or hate The Witcher, there's one truth no one can deny. Henry Cavill wasn't just playing Geralt, he was Geralt. And replacing him? That might have been Netflix's biggest mistake yet. But before we break down Henry's reaction and that mysterious leaked clip that's got everyone talking, we need to rewind. Because the story of how The Witcher went from fantasy gold to full-blown PR nightmare started long before this trailer even dropped. It was late 2022 when the internet collectively gasped. Henry Cavill, the face of The Witcher, the man who fought to stay true to the books, who trained relentlessly to bring Geralt's world to life, announced he was stepping down. And almost immediately the fandom split in two, half in denial, the other half furious. For many, Cavill wasn't just an actor filling a role. He embodied everything that made the character work. His gravelly voice, his subtle humor, the quiet pain in his eyes. Fans could feel that this was someone who understood Geralt of Rivia. But behind the scenes, rumors had already begun circulating. Cavill was reportedly frustrated with the direction the writers were taking, deviating from Andrzej Sapkowski's original novels and focusing more on flashy drama than faithful storytelling. Some reports even claimed that Cavill clashed with the creative team, pushing back against what he saw as a betrayal of the lore he loved. When he officially announced his departure, fans didn't see a career move, they saw a warning sign. One Reddit comment summed it up perfectly. If Henry's leaving, that means something seriously wrong behind the scenes. And from that moment, The Witcher wasn't just another Netflix show. It became a symbol of Hollywood's growing disconnect from its audience. Netflix quickly tried to calm the storm, promising a seamless transition, hyping up the next era of Geralt. But people weren't buying it. Because, let's face it, when you lose someone like Cavill, you're not just replacing a performer, you're replacing passion. The memes started immediately. Side-by-side photos of Cavill in his armor versus fanny edits of Liam Hemsworth photoshopped in, often captioned with jokes like, "From Witcher to Wish.com Geralt." Savage, but that's the internet. Still, some fans tried to stay optimistic. Maybe Liam could surprise everyone. Maybe Netflix would redeem itself with incredible writing. Maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't all fall apart. But those hopes didn't last long, because when the new Geralt was finally revealed, everything changed again. That's when the second storm hit, the casting bomb that detonated across the fandom. When Netflix announced Liam Hemsworth as the new Geralt of Rivia, the internet went silent for a moment. Not because people were impressed, but because they were stunned. Then came the laughter, the disbelief, the outrage. Liam, best known for his roles in The Hunger Games and Independence Day: Resurgence, was suddenly stepping into one of television's most complex, gritty roles, and fans weren't convinced he could handle it. Comments flooded in instantly. "He's too clean-cut for Geralt. He doesn't have the presence. This feels like a marketing stunt, not a casting choice." And the worst part? Even people who liked Liam as an actor admitted it just didn't fit. He was the wrong flavor of hero for the role. Geralt wasn't supposed to be polished or charming. He was broken, weary, human beneath the monster hunter's shell. But Netflix doubled down. They released statements about how Liam brings a new energy, and fans will love his take on Geralt. They teased fresh storylines, more emotional depth, and even hinted at a darker tone. Fans, however, saw right through it. One viral tweet put it bluntly, "They're trying to sell us Diet Geralt. Nobody asked for this." And while Liam tried to stay professional, posting a gracious statement about honoring Henry's legacy, it didn't stop the ridicule. People began dissecting his interviews, claiming he looked uncomfortable whenever The Witcher came up. Clips of his previous roles resurfaced, often captioned with things like, "Imagine this guy fighting a Leshen." Behind the scenes, industry insiders whispered about Netflix's desperation. Cavill's exit had thrown them into panic mode, and Liam's casting, while high profile, wasn't what the fandom wanted. It was what the boardroom approved. Still, there was a glimmer of hope. Maybe if the trailer hit hard, if Liam nailed the tone, the audience could be swayed. But that's the thing about hope. It doesn't last long in The Witcher's world, because when the first full trailer for Season 4 dropped, everything that could go wrong did. And that's where the story turns from disappointing to disastrous. When Netflix finally dropped the first full trailer for The Witcher Season 4, it should have been their moment of redemption. A chance to win back fans, silence the critics, and prove that replacing Henry Cavill wasn't a life sentence for the franchise. Instead, what they got was chaos. The trailer went live at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Within 1 hour, it already had over 100,000 dislikes, and that number kept climbing. Comments were pouring in faster than Netflix could moderate them. Who thought this was a good idea? This looks like a parody. Bring back Henry or cancel the show. The tone was savage. The comparisons were relentless. Side-by-side edits of Cavill's Geralt and Liam's Nube look went viral within minutes. One clip showed Cavill walking through Kaer Morhen, his voice calm, gritty, controlled, then cut to Liam delivering a line that fans described as awkward cosplay energy. The internet did what it always does. It memed the situation into oblivion. Someone tweeted, "This isn't The Witcher 4, this is The Witcher, the reboot no one asked for." Another said, "I've seen better chemistry between modded Skyrim NPCs." And it wasn't just fans. Even entertainment journalists started to pile on. Articles from Screen Rant and Collider described the trailer as tonally inconsistent and visually off. Critics pointed out weird lighting, overly clean costumes, and Geralt's oddly soft-spoken tone. The biggest issue? It didn't feel like The Witcher. The grit, the pain, the quiet tension Cavill brought, all gone. In its place was a polished, almost Hollywood fantasy vibe that felt completely disconnected from the world fans fell in love with. To make things worse, the official Witcher social accounts kept reposting fan reactions, but not the positive ones. They leaned into the controversy as if trying to own it, captioning tweets like, "Geralt's back, and he's just getting started." That only made people angrier. It felt out of touch, arrogant, like Netflix was taunting the very audience that made the show a global hit in the first place. By the end of the day, the dislike count had hit record-breaking numbers. YouTube trackers estimated it as one of Netflix's most downvoted trailers of the year. Fan forums were flooded with breakdowns dissecting every frame, lighting inconsistencies, strange dialogue, poor delivery, and then the real bomb dropped. Because just when everyone thought this PR nightmare couldn't get worse, new footage surfaced, not from the trailer, but from behind the scenes. A leaked video, allegedly from someone on the production crew. And in that clip, Liam Hemsworth wasn't fighting monsters. He was fighting the director. And once that footage hit the internet, all hell broke loose. It started as a blurry 30-second clip uploaded to Reddit. No watermark, no timestamp, just shaky camera work and raised voices echoing across what looked like a Witcher set. But one thing was instantly clear. The man arguing in the center was Liam Hemsworth, and the voice off camera, reportedly one of the show's main directors. The clip spread like wildfire. You could hear Liam's frustration, his tone sharp, defensive, almost desperate. He was saying something about not wanting to imitate someone else's version of Geralt. The director's voice responded, muffled but tense, something along the lines of, "Fans expect consistency, Liam." That one line lit a fuse. Fans immediately jumped to conclusions. Threads popped up everywhere. Liam can't handle the pressure. The set's falling apart. Even the director doesn't believe in this reboot. Within hours, the video was reposted across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Influencers and gossip channels broke it down frame by frame, analyzing every tiny detail, the shadows, the sound quality, even the way Liam's hands moved while he argued. Some said it looked like genuine frustration, an actor overwhelmed by the impossible task of living up to Cavill's legacy. Others believed it showed arrogance, that Liam was already clashing with the creative team. Either way, the damage was done. Netflix stayed completely silent. No confirmation, no denial, just an eerie corporate quiet that made things worse. And that silence became part of the story. Entertainment blogs began reporting on-set tension, production delays, and creative disputes between Liam and the directing staff. One insider quote, whether real or not, spread like wildfire. "Liam doesn't want to be Cavill's shadow, but every time he tries to do something new, it clashes with what fans expect." It painted a picture of a set under pressure, a team scrambling to recreate magic that was long gone. And right in the middle of it all, Henry Cavill's name started trending again. Fans started tagging him in clips, asking what he thought of the footage, posting side-by-side shots of Cavill's stoic, disciplined Geralt against Liam's heated outburst. Then, late that night, Henry broke his silence. He didn't name names. He didn't post a He didn't need to. Instead, he shared a photo of his sword collection on Instagram, captioned simply, "A true warrior never forgets his code." That one sentence was enough to ignite an entire fandom. Comments flooded in instantly. "He's throwing shade. That's aimed at Liam, 100%. Henry's too classy to call them out directly, but we all know." Within minutes, screenshots of the post were trending on every platform. The internet had already made up its mind. The real Geralt was watching from afar, and he wasn't impressed. But Henry's quiet jab wasn't the end. It was the spark that turned a controversy into a full-blown rebellion. Henry Cavill has always had a reputation for being professional, grounded, and above all, respectful. He doesn't get into public feuds. He doesn't take cheap shots. So when fans started tagging him non-stop under clips of Liam's argument, most people expected silence. A few polite words at best, but Henry Cavill isn't just any actor, and his silence has always been louder than words. Late one evening, he posted on Instagram a sleek black and white photo of his training sword resting on a table. No caption, just a single emoji, sword. Within an hour, the internet was ablaze. Reddit threads exploded with theories. YouTube breakdowns popped up within minutes. Was it a coincidence, a cryptic response, or was Cavill subtly reminding everyone who the real Geralt is? Then came the interview. During a podcast promoting an unrelated project, Henry was asked casually if he'd seen any of the recent Witcher headlines. His response was calm, collected, but surgical. He smiled, paused for a moment, then said, "The Witcher will always hold a special place in my heart. It's a world I loved deeply. But at the end of the day, the soul of any story depends on how much respect it's given." That single line became the quote of the week. The soul of a story depends on how much respect it's given. It was poetic, polite, and to anyone paying attention, it was a clear message. Fans interpreted it as a direct jab at Netflix. Comment sections were filled with takes like, "He just destroyed the entire show without even naming it. That's how you throw shade with class. Netflix should have listened when they had him." Within hours, Cavill's clip was trending #1 on YouTube. Every entertainment outlet picked it up. Variety, IGN, Screen Rant, all analyzing his tone, his wording, his subtle smirk at the end. And while Henry never said anything negative outright, his composure said everything fans needed to hear. He wasn't bitter, he wasn't angry, he was above it. And that contrast, Cavill's quiet dignity versus Liam's apparent frustration, became the internet's new favorite comparison. One viral TikTok summed it up perfectly. A split screen of Liam yelling on set versus Henry calmly smiling in the interview, captioned, "One man fought monsters, the other fought his director." It racked up millions of views. By that weekend, hashtags like #Cavill was right and #respect the lore dominated Twitter's trending list. Fans began flooding Netflix's official posts with sword emojis as a sign of loyalty to Cavill. Even old clips of him talking about staying true to Sapkowski's books were resurfacing, like a digital uprising fueled by nostalgia and frustration. But this wasn't just about one post or one quote anymore. It was becoming something bigger, an open revolt. And soon, that quiet rebellion exploded into a full-blown movement that Netflix couldn't ignore. When the trailer bombed, Netflix probably thought it would blow over in a few days. A few angry tweets, a few memes, and then the internet would move on. But this time, it didn't. By the next morning, #NotMyGeralt was trending across social media worldwide. Hundreds of thousands of fans were posting side-by-side shots of Cavill's Geralt next to Liam's version with captions like, "One looks like he's been through hell. The other looks like he just left a photo shoot." Petitions started popping up demanding that Netflix bring Cavill back or cancel the series altogether. One petition titled "Save the Witcher, Bring Back Henry Cavill" gathered over 300,000 signatures in less than 48 hours. The comment sections on Netflix's social pages turned into battlefields. Every new promo post for The Witcher Season 4 got buried under thousands of replies, sword emojis, "Bring back Henry," and lines from Cavill's old interviews. Even unrelated Netflix announcements were getting taken over by Witcher fans. Someone commented under a post for a new rom-com, "Cool, but when are you apologizing to Geralt?" And it didn't stop with fans. Influencers, YouTubers, even industry critics started weighing in. One major reviewer called it a textbook example of corporate arrogance, a studio ignoring the voice of the audience that made their show a success. Fan compilations of Cavill's best moments from the first 3 seasons started going viral again. Clips of him fighting the Striga in Season 1 or delivering his iconic racked up millions of new views. It felt less like nostalgia and more like a collective protest. The message was clear: we didn't forget, and we're not moving on. Meanwhile, Liam Hemsworth's social media turned into a war zone. Every post he made, even unrelated ones, was flooded with comments. Some joking, others outright roasting. "You're not Geralt. This isn't your fault, but it still hurts. They set you up to fail." And honestly, some fans did sympathize with him, because deep down, most people knew it wasn't about Liam himself. It was about what he represented, the corporate replacement for something authentic. The backlash reached such intensity that even Netflix executives had to address it, quietly, of course. Anonymous insider quotes began surfacing, claiming the company was monitoring audience sentiment and evaluating next steps. But everyone knew what that really meant. They were panicking. By week's end, several entertainment outlets ran the same headline: The Witcher 4 faces massive fan revolt ahead of release. And the worst part? The show hadn't even premiered yet. This wasn't a reaction to bad writing or bad acting. It was pure rejection before the first episode even aired. And if you think Netflix was worried, then just wait until what came out next. The rumors from inside the production that changed everything. Perfect. This is where everything comes together. The behind-the-scenes chaos, the whispers inside Netflix, and the reflective ending that leaves the viewer thinking long after the video fades out. While the public drama raged online, something much bigger was happening behind closed doors. At first, it was just whispers, anonymous Reddit posts, vague tweets from supposed insiders, small leaks that could have easily been fan fiction. But then, the reports started lining up. Crew members began describing tension on set, scenes being reshot again and again, directors clashing with producers over tone, writers rewriting episodes mid-shoot. One supposed supposed insider claimed the creative team was desperately trying to rework the first 2 episodes after early test screenings fell flat. And then came the real kicker, that Liam wasn't just frustrated during that one leaked argument. Apparently, it had been happening for weeks. He was allegedly struggling with the direction of his character, wanting to bring more depth, more grit, but constantly being told to keep it lighter, more heroic, less Cavill-like to fans. That sounded like the exact opposite of what made The Witcher great in the first place. Because Geralt wasn't supposed to be a charming action hero. He was a haunted man, living between monsters and politics, carrying pain that no magic could fix. Even members of the visual effects team, according to rumors, were frustrated. One leak claimed they were being asked to polish scenes that didn't look right, or to add more spectacle to distract from weak storytelling. Another insider allegedly said, "It's like everyone's pretending this is fine, but it's falling apart from the inside." By now, Netflix's silence had gone from strategic to suspicious. They weren't denying the leaked footage, they weren't addressing the backlash, and they definitely weren't acknowledging Cavill's cryptic posts. It felt like they were waiting for the storm to pass. But the storm wasn't slowing down, it was growing. Some fans even started speculating that the company might delay the release, or quietly re-edit the series to fix the tone. But others believed it was already too late. Once trust is broken with a fan base as passionate as The Witcher's, it's almost impossible to rebuild. Behind the curtain, Netflix executives reportedly held multiple emergency meetings to discuss the fan perception crisis. PR departments scrambled to adjust messaging, to reframe the narrative, to remind audiences that this was a fresh new era. But to fans, that sounded like corporate talk for damage control. The leaks kept coming, and so did the memes. People were joking that The Witcher had turned into a soap opera, not on screen, but behind the scenes. And with every new rumor, every new source claiming to know what was happening, one truth became harder to ignore. The magic that once made The Witcher a phenomenon had vanished. And the worst part? Even if Netflix somehow fixes the show, they might never win back what they've lost. So here we are, a franchise that once stood at the top of the fantasy world, now drowning in controversy before its own release. A trailer that bombed, a lead actor who can't escape comparisons, a fan base that's more united in protest than excitement, and at the center of it all, Henry Cavill, the man who walked away but somehow became the story again. It's ironic, isn't it? The Witcher's entire message has always been about destiny, about how no matter how far you run from it, it always finds you again. And now that same idea has come full circle. Netflix tried to move on. They tried to reshape the legend, but the ghost of Cavill's Geralt still lingers over every frame, every quote, every scene. People don't just see Liam Hemsworth playing Geralt, they see Henry Cavill missing from it. And maybe that's the real tragedy here. Not that the show made a bad decision, but that it forgot what made it special in the first place. Authenticity. Cavill's Geralt wasn't perfect, but he believed in the world, in the lore, in the fuss. He fought to keep it honest even when it cost him his role. That's something you can't recast. You can replace a sword, you can redesign armor, you can rewrite dialogue, but you can't fake passion. And that's what fans are really mourning. Maybe The Witcher 4 will still find its audience. Maybe casual viewers will enjoy it, unaware of the storm that came before. But for the people who lived through the rise and fall, the ones who watched Henry fight for this world, the magic's gone. So when fans see that leaked footage, when they hear the tension, when they read Henry's quiet words, it's not just gossip, it's closure. A reminder that the greatest battles aren't fought with swords or monsters, they're fought for meaning. And as the series heads toward its October 30th release, one question hangs over everything like a storm cloud. Can The Witcher ever recover from losing its heart? Because no matter how many trailers Netflix drops, no matter how much money they pour into it, fans aren't asking when The Witcher returns. They're asking who it's even for anymore.